Welcome to a new fragrance review. Today I'm going to tell you my top 5 fragrance that you absolutely need in your collection. So, before I keep going, this top 5 is not 5 types of fragrance you need in your collection, and it's not for beginner collectors. Like if you have like 2 fragrance, buy more stuff before going to what I'm gonna talk about. Or maybe 1 or 2 things you need it, but this is really if you're a collector, you like to experience the scent, you like to, own a piece of history. If it's what attracts you in having a collection, or if you just have a big collection and you want some nice piece that have some backstory to it, this is a list for you. Because some of these fragrance might not be fragrance you'll enjoy wearing every day, but still they are worthy of being in the collection. And when you have 2 fragrance, you kind of want to collect stuff that you can wear. So anyway, I'm gonna go. There's no honorable mention or anything. It's just like the list of 5 and that's it. So the first one, it's not quite Drakkar Noir, but for me it's Drakkar Noir. The first one, or the number 5 that you need, which probably will be the one you're most likely gonna have in your collection, is the first fragrance you ever owned or you ever had. Maybe the first one you blind bought, or the first one that you searched and was wearing it a lot when you were a teenager, something like that. But a nice fragrance like that you can remember the old time, and even though if it's not the original bottle, just a little bottle of it in your collection, even if you're never wearing it. It's nice to have it, have memories from the past that you can have by wearing it also. Optionally, I didn't say that there was any honorable mention, but other fragrance like that remind you of someone also could be a good fragrance to have in your collection. So now number 4, and the number 4, it's a bit funny because I don't quite have the fragrance in my collection, even though I say you need it absolutely. And it's Vetiver by Guerlain, and I do have Vetiver Extreme, that is a flanker. And why you need Vetiver by Guerlain is really simple, is that vetiver fragrance, it all started with Vetiver by Guerlain. It's all the fragrance that you compared it to. Maybe if you don't like it, it's all right, it doesn't matter. It's not about if it's a good fragrance or not. You know, argue it's a good fragrance. It's about all revolve around this fragrance. It's really an influential fragrance. Even still today, I would say some of the fragrances on the list are not as influential currently, but even though their influence still ripple today, but this is still an influential fragrance. And having this fragrance also is nice. It smells good. At least the Extreme smells good, but they're quite similar, I heard. And it's a Guerlain, so it's always a good thing to have at least one thing from that brand in your collection, I think. Anyway, we're gonna go to number 3, and it's Polo by Ralph Lauren, and it's the first fragrance they released, which is one of the reasons, but not the best reason. Really, what this fragrance have in special is that it started the whole 80s vibe fragrance, the old powerhouse fragrance. And that era was a really big era in fragrance, which is sad that it completely disappeared. They all changed in the 90s. Everything disappeared. And stuff like Coram, One Man Show, Noir also, to an extent, were all inspired by this fragrance. Or if it wasn't inspired directly by it, it was inspired by the ripple effect that it created when it was created. It was really an influential fragrance at the time it was launched. Now it's not really influential so much. They just made the first flanker, not quite the first, that's kind of permanent. So I think it's a good time also to talk about it. And if you're gonna write in the comment that, hey, it was not made in the 80s, I'm aware it was not made in the 80s, it was made in 79, but it's still like 79, the last year of the 70s, so it literally started what the 80s fragrance style is. And also, as another note, if you don't have any 80s fragrance, this really will give you the vibe of like those old school powerhouse fragrance. It's really a unique fragrance. It smells nice. It's a nice fragrance to have in the collection too. Number 2, it's Cool Water by Davidoff. And I know a lot of people would know about other fragrances that are similar, like Green Irish Tweed, for example, or Aspen by Cody. And I would say that this fragrance belongs more in your collection than those two others. And the reason is not quite of the style of the fragrance or anything. It's really about its composition. This fragrance, what it has in special, and from all the fragrances I'm gonna talk today, is the one that is the less known. But this fragrance actually started the aquatic fragrance. If you look at other older fragrances that are aquatic, I'm not quite sure if it's older, but Aquacorum, for example, or those old aqua fragrance, the way they were made was really different, and it's really more in the background that you like of how the fragrances are made or anything that you'll see this. They were made was really different. They didn't have the same aroma chemical, and this one is the first that actually used like aroma chemical that are really in the aquatic like category. So there was really aquatic notes inside of this fragrance. It was really different from was there before, and it opened the lead for a lot of fragrance. All the Bulgari Aqua, Acqua di Gio, all those like aquatic fragrance. Really, this is what opened the door to those fragrances. And right now, the way it was made is really old school. It's really dated. Even though some people will say, oh, it's not dated, but really it's not how it's done anymore. And it might not be as good in presently as it was in the old time, but still this fragrance influenced a lot the world of perfumery, even still today. Even though fragrances are not inspiring themselves from cool water anymore, still cool water is what created all aquatic fragrance. And now, number one, the fragrance that I think is the most influential through the year and also the oldest fragrance of this list. It's Fougère Royale by Houbigant, and I only have a travel atomizer. It's an original from the brand. It's not like some cheap stuff that I got that was just in the can or anything. So it's really from the brand. And this fragrance, you probably heard about the Fougère, and if I go with just this fragrance here, that's the first that I showed. This fragrance is a Fougère, and other stuff, Paco Rabanne pour Homme, Azaro pour Homme, a lot of the pour Homme fragrance, now that I realize it. And Le Male, most of Le Male, I should say, Sauvage, Eau de Toilette, and so many fragrance, especially so many men's fragrance. Fougère is type of men's fragrance. All those Fougère fragrance, actually they are called Fougère because of this fragrance. So it was called Fougère Royale in the style, afterward was Fougère. And really to have such an impact, like the 70s was the era of the Fougère, and really the 70s fragrance exists because of this one. A lot of fragrance, the way it's made exists because of this fragrance. Really revolutionized a lot of things. I already talked about it. You can go check my review on Fougère Royale if you want more info about it. But really, it was extremely influential. I don't think any fragrance is really inspired by it right now, but still, a lot of fragrance are inspired by other fragrances that are Fougère, and it's still a ripple effect of this fragrance. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If it's the case, well, like and share. If there's any fragrance you think that really is mandatory inside of a fragrance collection, write it in the comment. I'd be really happy to hear from you. So, thanks for watching, and see you soon.